Well, hello everyone. This is the Thomas Landlord from the Great North Pagan Podcast, recording you live from the second annual Pagan Pride Day here in Moorhead, Minnesota, right off the river here. We got our first gift for this from the Summerland Spirits Festival. What's your name again?
My name is Brianna Cruzan.
Well, welcome, Brianna.
Thank you very much.
Could you tell a little bit about yourself on the podcast?
Okay. I've been in the pagan community of the Twin Cities for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I met the organizers of this event at Summerland Spirit Festival this summer in July. And I wanted to come down, support them, as well as talk about the festival.
That's wonderful. How do you think that has paganism evolved now that it seems like it's been coming out a lot lately?
How has it evolved? Well, I think that as paganism becomes more mainstream, it has a fluidity to it. It kind of changes. You know, the first books written about paganism and Wicca, for example, were about 100 years ago, maybe a little bit older than that. And at the time, it was a very secretive and very structured kind of practice. And now it's come to a point where my thing lately is culture of tolerance.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I think about paganism, where everyone is allowed to believe what they want, worship how they want, dress how they want, express themselves how they want. And there's this focus on how mystical and spiritual and magical can I be as a being.
Yeah, and I've noticed that not necessarily just with paganism, but a lot of the beliefs nowadays have gotten more out for that. Because I know down like in Atlanta, Georgia, I know they have like a Muslim appreciation festival that works like some of the same principles that our Pagan Pride does.
What? Yeah, I really think that, for a lot of the different, there's a big interfaith movement going on right now. There's people who don't necessarily identify as Christians but aren't necessarily pagans either, because they're more of like everyone is allowed to believe what they want to believe, and people more and more want to be educated on a broad spectrum of different beliefs so that they can interact with and connect with people of different faiths.
Of course. Have you seen any bit of like the prejudice change, like get better, get worse, stay the same?
Well, I definitely think that people are more open-minded now than they were 20 years ago. When I was in grade school, I had to deal with kids calling me a devil worshiper, all kinds of weird rumors about weird stuff that they made up out of nowhere that had nothing to do with anything, and everything to do with fear. And now when I tell someone that I'm pagan, or that I am into cosmic spirituality, or whatever I choose to say for that day, the general response is, "Oh, well, tell me more about that." Yeah. There's less fear these days, and more willingness to engage, I think, in conversation about what it is you actually believe in.
I think so too. I mean, especially like even if you're wearing something simple, usually nowadays they just ask what it is, and you ask them the meaning is, and well, interesting.
Yeah.
Has there been many of people that have inquired about Summerland Spirit that even when they're not pagan?
Well, I have to say, I've only been the marketing director for about a month and a half now.
Oh, well, you're a month and a half.
I just took the position while I was at the festival, actually, in July. And I know the people that are doing it. My housemate and best friend is the president of the organization, so I knew what he was doing for the last 2 years. I've heard a lot about it. So when I was at the festival this year and they said, "Hey, we have an opening on the board, would you be interested?" I said yes. So, in the month and a half that I've been back from festival, I've done a lot of stuff online with Facebook and Witchbox, but this is my first public event that I've been to where I've been talking to people, and everyone here is mostly pagan, so the response has been very positive.
Was there been a wide selection of different types of pagans, or different selections, like like Norse, Celtic?
Oh, at the festival?
Yeah.
Not yet. I think that it's a small event. There was only 120 people there this year, and not all of them were there for the full 9 days. So some people were there for 3, some people were there for 9. It just kind of in between. And so there was no more than 60 people on property at any one time. There was probably I know that there was one coven there that was representing that did a lot of workshops. But I think there's also a lot of individuals that kind of practice their own thing.
Well, that's good. So then, what do you think that will become the output of Pagan Pride Day?
For here in Fargo, the output,
like, how much will it have an effect?
Well, seeing as how the local news was here, I'm thinking that the potential for it to have a big impact is there, because people are curious. They want to know what's going on, and this is an opportunity for the community to speak out and say, "Hey, we're friendly, we're open, we're very inclusive people. Come check us out."
Yeah, and that's why it just seems like there's so much of a glimmer of hope, because I've always felt that at least it betters our name.
Yeah.
It shows that we're not the stereotypical right on the broomstick. Although I would like to play Quidditch one of these days, but not as the way that other believes the media has portrayed it.
Yeah, there's and one of the questions that the news person asked me was, what are some of the misconceptions that you have to deal with? And especially in smaller populated areas where there aren't as many pagans, there isn't as big of a community, there tends to be more prejudice. There tends to be more fear, and that's just all comes back to the fear of the unknown. These people are different, they're weird, what are they doing? Is it devil worship? Because for a very long time, Christianity has set the tone of this is how things are. So anything that's outside of this, therefore, belongs to the devil. It's not in the Bible, therefore it's not of God, and it is evil and of Satan.
Which is something concerning the fact that, technically speaking, Satan was Pan. That was
right, but they don't know that.
They don't know that.
Most people. No, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to generalize or make or anything like that. But it is my impression that a lot of people who are Christian have not read up on their mythology or their history. So they don't know where some of the stories that are in the Bible even come from.
And I think that's the biggest weapon of all, knowledge and wisdom.
Yes, absolutely.
Knowledge, wisdom, and education.
Absolutely.
Because from what we've seen in the past, which especially with those that have never knew about paganism, once they know what the actual truth of it was, they're open to all arms.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is, I really think that people are in a time where they want. There's so many different immigrants and people coming in from different countries and different cultures. We're not isolated anymore. You can't just be in your little community and pretend that the rest of the world doesn't exist. You have to be able to find a way to cope with the people that are coming in, and the only way to do that is to open up your heart, open up your mind, and start asking questions.
Exactly. Well, I thank you so much for the interview. It was great.
Thank you. Yes, this has been fantastic.
Thank you so much. And we are back. It's later on in the day here. It's still Pagan Pride Day. Many events, many speakers. Most only one next to me here, Dee Johnson. How are you doing, Dee?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been quite exciting here. So what have you got to feel about Pagan Pride Day?
Really enjoyed myself. There's been some good speakers, some really good podiums. The one on EVP and paranormal was excellent. The feel and the vibe around here and all the people are really wonderful. The drumming has been great.
Yeah.
It set a really good vibe.
Do you think after all, I asked this beforehand with the other person, do you think over these years that paganism is starting to get the better recognition that it rightfully deserves?
I do. I think it's spreading more. I think it's because people are getting more interested in having less stress in their life. There's a lot of jobs and a lot of people out there that are stressing about finances and money, and I think paganism shows a way of communing back with the earth and coming down to a natural place and becoming less stressed. So I think people are starting to sway towards it more, and also starting to sway towards more being in commune with other people of like minds.
Exactly. And do you think that also with also the aspect of like the prejudice and all that, do you think it's eased up than it was like say like 20, 30 years ago?
I do. I think that people are starting to be more accepting of us, and parts of the reason why is because we're so ecologically understanding towards our Mother Earth. And I think everybody's feeling that right now, especially things like Katrina happening and things like flooding happening. I think people are starting to feel more in tune with the earth, and so I think they accept us more because we are so in tune with Mother Earth that they're starting to learn things like that from us.
And that's I think that's the biggest thing, and especially what we try to accomplish here, to show how we're not as bad or stereotypically as we look.
I think Hollywood has put a really bad connotation on paganism, and if all you've seen is what's on TV, and then you come out here, you'll see something completely different than what you see. Mother Nature at work right now.
Yeah, the winds.
Mother Nature at work. So I think you'll see a commonality among people here as being more passive.
Yeah, you can tell the air goddess has a thing for hate on Hollywood.
Yes, that's true.
Because we talked about that in our 5th episode of how like TVs and movies portray. You know, there's like TV shows like Charmed, and then there's like Hocus Pocus, which kind of put it to the obvious stereotypical light.
Right. Well, and then you've got things like Practical Magic, which I think is one of the best movies that help people understand exactly what kind of people we're like. But then again, you've got things like all the demonic Hollywood pictures that present the pentacle as being a symbol of the demon is completely out there.
Oh, yeah.
And then you come to a place like this and realize that the pentacle is such a beautiful representation of nature, and it's not Hollywoodistic at all.
Yeah, certainly not. Do you think that then, as time goes on, like look now we look in the past, now we look in the future, you think like 10 years down the road, would you think that paganism will be now up there with the others?
I think it already is up there with the others. I think this program right here, what we do here in Fargo Moorhead, because we're such a great growing city, and not just a growing city, but a common growing city. We have so many different cultures here that I believe that we're going to flourish. I believe that this will grow. I think because people are going to be more interested in getting together with people that are like minds without the repercussion of somebody thinking badly about you.
Yeah.
You can feel good about being together here and not be judged based on what you wear, based on how you speak, based on what color you are, what creed you are, what religion you are.
Or the common thing that and to see in other beliefs where you put fear on others.
Right. And there's no fear here. So I do believe we're going to get larger, and I hope we do.
I hope so too. Well, Dee, it's been wonderful to speak with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You have a good day.
Yeah.